Okay, welcome back to MakeAnimation.com. Today we'll be going over creating and controlling objects in Blender 2.5. Okay, first thing I want to go over is how to delete an object. This is easily achieved by hitting the X key. Hitting X brings up this menu. Click. Alright, now this little crosshair thing, that's, if you notice, if you click on the left mouse button, it repositions it within the 3D environment. This is your 3D cursor, and what it does is it allows you to place geometry anywhere in the scene. I'm going to go ahead and show you that. Place it right there. In order to create an object, you go to Add, Mesh, and then whatever you want here. I'm going to make a UV sphere, and it places it right at that 3D cursor. Okay, I'll make another geometry to show you again. Make a cone. There you go. Okay. Now, hitting the A key deselects everything and selects everything. So if I hit the A key right now, it'll make sure everything's deselected. If I hit the A key again, everything including the lamp and the camera is selected in the scene. A key again deselects everything. Okay. Now, I'm going to go ahead and my cone here. I'm going to go over how to scale, move, and rotate objects, which is called the transforms. Okay. First one I'm going over is the move, or the grab in Blender terms. That's accomplished by hitting G. And if I hit G key, you can notice that you can move it anywhere in the scene. Now, another thing I want to talk about is if you hit the right mouse button, it cancels the movement. I'm going to go ahead and move it again. If I use the left mouse button, it accepts it. Okay. To undo is Control Z. Undoes the last action that you've done. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and move it again, but this time I'm going to show you that you can move it along each axis. There's an X, Y, and Z. So if I hit the Z key, it'll move it just up and down along that axis. If I hit the X, moves along that axis. Y moves along this axis. Okay, and this little gizmo here tells you what the axes are: Z blue, Y green, X red. Okay. So now we're going to also talk about scaling. By hitting the S key is to scale. Of course, it's uniform unless I hit those three axes, which works with the scale as well. So if I hit the Z, it'll scale along that axis. X will scale along that axis. Y will scale along that axis. Last but not least, I'll go over rotation, which is forming right now. If I hit the Z, it'll rotate along that axis. Same idea. X along that axis, Y along that axis. Okay. So now I'm gonna go ahead and go over how to duplicate an object. But before I do that, I'll just go over the gizmos. The same actions can be performed with what we call gizmos, which is actually this little thing that's on the geometry. Now by default we have the move, which is selected, and if I left clicked on this blue right here, it'll move it that axis. Or if I clicked on here, move along that axis, move along that axis. Same idea. Now the gizmos are down here. I said move is selected by default. But if I select this, another gizmo appears, which is the rotation. And then if I click on green, I can rotate it along that axis. Same idea. Red along the axis and blue along that axis. The last one over here is the scale. Same idea. If I scale on that, the axis allows you to scale it. If you inside this little circle thing, if you click here, it'll be uniform. And that's also for the move as well. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom out a little bit. Move it back to the move. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and duplicate some of these. So in order to duplicate a geometry, you hit Shift D. Then it allows you to move it around, place it where you want. And of course you can use your axes for more precise movement. So I'm just going to move it over here. To select more than one object, you hold down Shift and right click object, select more than one object, Shift D, duplicates. Okay, So now what I'm gonna go over is how to parent some of these. Um, Parenting is done by selecting whatever you want to be a child and whatever you want to be the parent. Now, when you're parenting, the first object that you select is the child. The second object that you select is the parent. So I want all four of these to be the parent of this sphere. So I select this cone first. Then I hold shift, right click, select my sphere. Then I'm going to hit Control P. That makes the parent. See a line. Now the child can move independently of the parent. So if I moved my child, you can see that it has its own movements. I can rotate it, whatever the case may be. But if I select my parent, the child will move with the parent. Okay. Now if I wanted to do all of these, I would just select this one and then select this one second, Control P, parent that one, then select this one, select that one, Control P, parent. You get the idea. So now that these are all parented, I can rotate this and they will all move accordingly. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and start a new document, which was Control N. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and talk about some basic animation. Like I said, this is the timeline down here, and basic animation is accomplished creating keyframes. There's a few ways of doing it. The first way I'm going to go over is just creating keyframes. What you would want to do is you want to hit the I key. That brings up the kind of keyframe you want. Location, rotate, scale is the ones that we really use the most. I'm going to do a location keyframe, and then you notice that this turns yellow. So now I'm going to move my timeline somewhere else. I, location, then move my object. So now, what did I do? You should move your object first, then I, location. Sorry about that. There you go. So now it makes a basic animation. Or you can just press the play button, it'll show you the animation as well. Okay. I'm going to undo all of this. Another way to do it is to use automatic keyframing. What I can do is hit automatic keyframing, set this somewhere, it'll automatically do it for you. See, it just set a keyframe for me. So now I can just move this somewhere else, then just simply move it, and it'll automatically set the keyframe for you. This is another way of doing it. Okay. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this cube a couple of times, because I'm going to talk about layers. Now over here you'll see all these little cubes, and there's a little dot here. This dot indicates that there's geometry in the layer. These are all your different layers. If I click here, there's no geometry. These are all separate layers. And layers is good for just kind of like organizing your scene a little bit better, breaking it down by object type or some sort. It's an organization tool. Go ahead and select one of these cubes. I'll show you how to make a new layer with it. If I wanted to place this geometry in another layer, you'd go to the object right here, and these are your layers. And what I can do is just click the layer I want it to, and it will disappear. But notice here, it's on the second layer. So if I click this, this will only show up on that layer. Okay, I'll select this object and put this on a different layer. I'll select the third one, disappears, dot appears there. So each layer has an object now. If I wanted to view all the layers, of course you can by holding down shift and clicking on the layers. Okay, very simple stuff. Okay, I'll go over how to make it empty. An empty is a geometry that's not renderable, but it can control other things. Generally you could use it as a parenting type thing if you don't want something to be renderable, but you want to affect other geometry in a certain way. I'll show you how to make one. Go over add, empty. It'll just appear as a crosshair, a little cross thing. And like I said, this will not be your geometry. So what I can do is select that, then select this, Control P, create a parent. of course, if I move this, it'll move everything with it. And last but not least, I would like to talk IPO curves. IPO stands for interpolation. It's just a graphical representation of the animation. And I'm just going to show it to you really quickly. It's a lot easier to show. So it's already set to automatic keyframing. I'm going to go ahead and move this to another frame. Then I'm going to rotate this or something. Let's see, let's try the Z-axis. Just like that. So now this will show up in the IPO, which is actually the graph editor. There it is. Now, notice that it's color coded. Blue, red, and green corresponds XYZ accordingly. And because I rotated it on the Z-axis, that's why the animation on the information showing animation in the Z-axis. I'm going to move this. Now if I were to rotate it on, let's say, the red, which would be the X-axis, which I'm going to do now, the red would show change, which I'm going to show you. So X-axis instead, let's do some, I don't know, boom, red changed. But also your green, just because probably I wasn't just on the red. Oh well, it changed on two axes, probably because it wasn't straight. But this is what this represents. And that's it for now. Hope to see you back. Thank you for visiting makinganimation.com, and we'll see you guys later. Have a